And then we'll see if it starts. Okay, looks like we are live, and I bid you welcome to the Extinctionati, and we are at episode 164, and eventually we will be talking about the controlled collapse of civilization. But I believe first we have some housekeeping for the group. And, anyone want to go first on how we can make the group more what's the word, stronger or more resilient through holidays and world wars and stuff? How can we expand it and make it more a fixture that is there once a month or once a week, whatever? And yeah, I guess I've already revealed that we will talk about the frequency of the podcast. Maybe once a week is too often. Maybe once a month is the right thing, or once every 2 weeks, whatever. So there are more ways to the same result with more resilience and higher attendance. So I think we need to get more people in the panel so that some people can do other stuff or be sick or celebrate the holidays, whatever, all of these things. Who wants to go first?
I will, I guess. I mean, I think once a week is fine for me personally, just because I don't really celebrate much on the holidays. um, but that's just me. I'm gonna not be around that much in March because that's when all my goat babies are due. So I'm the Walking Dead at that point. So um, I don't know. I just think getting it started and just getting more people involved is also a good idea. So if someone can't make it or has something come up, and when you have a farm, life doesn't go as anticipated always. Animals kind of take priority. So that's my thoughts. And I'm sure other people have circumstances also, but those are my personal circumstances and my thoughts on that.
As for me, guys, I can see that probably for me, I can see once a month might work better for me. I can just step in because I don't like talking much, but I enjoy these conversations we're doing. So I could see that at some point that might work better for me. But it kind of depends on the circumstance and situation at any given time. Over now.
Yeah, I think if we had a larger pool of experts or people on the panel, then it's also much easier for any individual member to just take a week off or whatever, because it doesn't tip the whole show over, right? So nobody wants to be all on edge that we have to come every week or whatever. I guess maybe I have to do it because I'm technically producing the thing, but other than that,
Yeah,
we,
correct. I think the more people, the better. Um,
mm,
just to have stand-ins. It worked for me when I did my little show.
I have the same problem as you, Chris. I'm trying to find the volume on my iPad, but they upgraded the system or whatever, so now it's not where it used to be, and I need to drag all my fingers. Maybe 4 fingers on the iPad is the thing to get the audio thing up. Right, so I
That's crazy.
finally found it. So that's good. Yeah, I would start you off now with thinking about uh, great people that you know, friends or otherwise, who would be interested in contributing and being on the panel for as often as they can, actually, and talk about. The concept is kind of very different from most other YouTube shows where you have people talking. The people talking thing is the same, but other than that, it's all different. Basically, we have an angle to explaining the world that almost no other shows have, in that we are collapse aware, uh, in addition to thinking about politics and geopolitics and war and fake climate policies and everything. So one of my favorite shows this year has been the Duran, right? Uh, which talks about all the conflicts and World War Three, East versus West, all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah.
they kind of lack the ecological perspective, which I don't blame them for doing, because nobody can have their minds wrapped around everything, or they're
Yeah.
as good as they can be. But our motivation, our goal is to be better than that for the audience that is interested in the collapse of civilization, which Sam Mitchell, anyway, calls the biggest story of the past 10,000 years. That the civilization that started 10 or 12,000 years ago, standing the Levant,
I tend to
is
agree with
now
Sam.
is now is now coming to an end. What do you say, Chris?
I tend to agree with Sam, and
Mm.
he's taking a break right now. I don't know if you saw his last video.
Well, he's constantly lashing out at everyone and taking breaks and talking bad about doomers and good about doomers. It's kind of one of
He's
his
crazy.
hallmarks to be sort of biting his own tail week after week. I could never speak as much as he does, because I don't know. I won't blame him for loving his own voice or anything. It's just that I don't have that much to say every day, right?
Me either. I'm kind of a
Uh,
quiet
uh,
person generally.
and I think if you are sort of forcing yourself to say so much every day, you kind of have to kind of talk yourself into a corner like that, right? And
Mhm.
take time off and have a comeback and all those drama stuff, things that we know from pop culture. Yeah, but I think he's right about this the biggest story, and it should be the most interesting story. But when newspapers and TV stations don't have the collapse of civilization on their front page every day, there are reasons for not doing that. They don't
Yeah,
tell us
there are.
much. Their audience doesn't want
Um,
to hear about it, but we're sort of supposed to be here and talk about it, even though people don't want to hear about it. So it's kind of a niche product, this thing, and our kind of struggle is to just make that possible and make that as good as possible. And I think potentially there should be thousands, maybe millions people listening into this thing, and hopefully some of those listeners will also join and be a part of the show itself. Right? There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
Correct. I invited all kinds of my listeners on, people who came just in the chat. It's like, hey, you want to come on? If you see people like that who are interested in it, that's how you bring new people into the fold, so to speak. And a lot of people are out there by themselves thinking, they're the only ones aware of this, and life is just going on like normal,
Mm.
and they they're just worried about the new car they're going to buy, or the trip they're going to go on, or just mundane things, or this gal wore white at my wedding. It's like, oh my gosh, people. Like those petty things are just blow my mind, the things people worry about right now. There's way bigger problems. Uh, that's just me. That's what goes on in my head.
Okay, can we talk about the weekday? Is Wednesday the best day of all days of the week, or is Sunday better, like we used to do?
Sunday's hard for me.
Mm.
Well, I could probably do Sunday. Ugh, I'm trying to think. My husband goes to bed early on Sunday, so that might actually work good. So I'm open. I'm pretty open.
Yeah, but I think maybe the first Wednesday in November was kind of set by other events, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Wednesday for the rest of civilization, right? If it doesn't work for the people in the group. I don't know about cats, but if we also think about future members, right?
Hmm.
From whatever time zone and culture they are from, maybe our type of people probably doesn't go to church on Sunday. I don't know. Not every
I don't
Sunday
go to
anyway.
church.
I think also, the future
As
members
lots
of the
of people
panel.
do.
Yeah, but also the time zone for the show for them will not be the same as the church hours, perhaps,
Right.
if,
Yeah.
if you're lucky. Uh, I think there are lots of things to be said about Sundays. I think maybe it's a more contemplative, more relaxed day
Mm-hmm.
for most people. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's the opposite because they're partying or whatever.
Or people have to work on Monday. I don't know. A lot of
Yeah.
people work on Monday morning. But if
Hmm.
it's not, I mean, it would only be early or late for me if I had to work. But I don't have to work. But I do still go to bed at 8.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. No, so we could move the day from Wednesday if we don't have a strong reason to do so. We can just keep Wednesday, right? And then the other thing is the hours and the time zones. We can't change the time zones, but what we did on Extinctionati on this podcast about 3 years ago, we had an Eastern and a Western meeting for the eastern part of the planet and the western part of the planet. And some crazy people like me would go to both meetings, both the east and west.
Poor Steve Snow. She has, you don't have a life. I know you do. I'm just kidding.
No, but I think 3 years ago it was also, you know, it had this show had less competition. It was quite outstanding, and every year it's a bigger struggle to be somebody on social media on YouTube because you have all these great people growing up. People who've been born after YouTube started. They are getting on YouTube now and creating great content. And just for the climate scene, it's been a hell of an explosion since Sam Mitchell and Sandy and Paul Beckwith and I and Guy McPherson. Um, they're almost the only people talking about climate on YouTube, right? And now it's
Yeah.
like all kinds of people who are paid to go on YouTube and talk the official narrative or whatever. But we
Yeah,
have
the
to,
official narrative, not
yeah, we have,
reality, but the official narrative.
yeah, we have to
But
compete with people who get like thousands of dollars every month to spin the official story on YouTube. Right? So
the ones that push things like the Green New Deal and all of those things,
yeah,
clean energy, all of that. Those are the ones that are, you know, the
yeah,
profitable ones.
yeah.
Get your
So,
vaccine. Green New
Yeah, that too.
Deal. Brand
Yeah.
new. It's a brand new day. Fuck nature. That's how I think of it.
Oh,
That's what I think
yeah.
the message is. I'm anyway.
Fill
I
your
feel regret
deserts
coming
with
on.
solar panels. Fill your oceans with
That's right.
windmills.
I used
It's
to live
like,
by
oh,
wind farms in southern Alberta. They put them. They didn't put them on native grass though. They put them on where I live. They put them on crop fields, so that wasn't so bad. But yeah, but this it's
so
just the belief in it. You know, it's just like, oh, come on, guys. Anyway,
if people really broke down what it takes to even build a windmill, the
yeah,
energy it
we'll
takes
get
to
back to
build
that.
it
and
and
maintain.
transport
We get back to that later.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, sorry.
so back to the housekeeping agenda. Do we have a majority now for keeping the week or for going to the monthly show?
I think Kat wants to do it monthly. I could do it. I could go either way.
All right.
Like guys, for me, probably one in the end, 1 month is probably going to work out better, just because of
Uh,
different stuff. But
uh,
that is up to you. Like if you do it every week, then I can just hop on once a month or once every 2 weeks or something. Probably it partly depends on what's going on in my world here. You know.
maybe we should try to keep the week for now and focus on filling up the
Yeah.
number of what you call the usual suspects, the number
Yeah.
of faces
The
on the
guests.
show.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, because
People.
every week, then you've got a inertia. You got a consistency. You know what I mean? Like once a month
Yeah.
is often pretty far apart. But what about guys like Paul Beckwith and Kevin Hester and all those guys? Would they be into this sort of thing?
Hester, I talked to Hester tonight, and he said they can't come
Okay.
on this week. So I'm
Right.
trying my stuff, and
But
what
they
I need
might, yeah.
is suggestions from you guys on email or whatever for names,
Yeah.
and then I can contact them, or you
Yeah.
can contact them yourself, and
Yeah.
just that send me some names, and we will see if they want to come along for the next show, and just start the process of thinking who do I know that I would like to invite to come on here, and
Yeah.
please don't start on the top of your list. Please don't start with Kamala or that kind of person.
Oh, get
Because,
Kamala Harris. Let's get her on. She's
What do
not
you?
busy right now.
my
I might
my
be able to
So
get
great.
Oz on
my
for
subs
an
are
episode, but
suffering already. I get fewer and fewer subscriptions, and if you put Kamala on, I would go
Yeah.
to zero.
Boom.
I think in
Yeah.
a very short
yeah.
time. Or maybe that's the way to get back all the so-called Democrat
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
used to be
They're all,
on my show.
you're gonna have to give them a.
Does Kamala have anything else to do now than being on Extinctionati?
Well, she's still vice president, which means she's not doing anything,
Ah,
right?
right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so she
I
should
reckon.
be
I
wide
reckon.
open.
I mean, I don't know. I just live in a freaking mountain, but I
I
can
saw
imagine.
this picture of Kamala next to a McDonald's restaurant where it said, position open to work at the McDonald's. I don't know, maybe that was
Oh, funny.
manipulated.
Have you
Right.
asked Sandy?
Sandy has just, launched her hate campaign, which is personal, by
Oh
the way.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
tried to
Oh
go
no.
on
Hate
her.
campaign?
I tried to go on her collapse last week show yesterday, and yeah, I could write whatever I wanted, but nobody could see what I said. So yeah, I'm totally in the doghouse. I think at Sandy's.
Oh. What happened?
No,
Is
it's
that
just
too personal? Not worth.
if you don't like Kamala, obviously you want Mussolini to come back.
Oh, the
So
Yeah,
politics.
yeah.
yeah,
Her Trump derangement syndrome thing
Right,
yeah.
and all
right,
that.
right, right.
Yeah, that's why I
So,
can't watch her though. I love
but
her to death, but I can't watch her because of
don't name drop everyone you know now. So just start
Okay.
thinking about it. Send me some names on
that.
email, and then we get into the groove of expanding and getting like-minded or at least outspoken people on the show for the
Yeah.
coming week.
I would. I wouldn't give up on Kevin Hester. I mean, he may not be able to make every show, but I would hit him up every chance you
Yeah, but
get and
he's
see.
already on my list. You don't have to tip me about Kevin Hester. I'm already
Okay,
working on
okay.
getting him on, right? So you need to start on thinking about your own names that you can send me on email and not on this show, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
He was on
that's
my show though.
that's all the housekeeping, and
Okay.
I think that's kind of it. Yes, the final point is if you're not coming and you know you're not coming, please alert me at least or somebody else on
Yep.
the team that I won't be coming next week because otherwise people will just sit around waiting, like in the waiting hall episode last week, and that was it
Mm.
was popular actually. It's one of our most popular episodes where everybody is just muted and waiting for 2 hours. So I guess people there's a need out there in YouTube land for just quiet and contemplation and maybe you know
Mm.
put on a quiet YouTube station and write some poems or whatever. I don't know what people do out there. I can't now. So just make sure that say that you will come or won't come or whatever.
Yep.
RSTP? What's it
R
called?
RSVP.
RSVP.
RSVP. There we go.
Reply, s'il vous plaît.
It's some kind of
What that
Latin thing, I
means.
think. Yeah.
That's a s'il vous plaît. It was French. SVP
Okay.
is
Hmm.
s'il vous plaît, please. Reply, please. It means.
I
En
had no
Whatever.
idea
français.
that meant that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hey, gotta be Canadian, right? We all learn French. Although I can't. I speak better
Oh
Thai
yeah,
than
right.
French now. Yeah. But
So
reply
over to the
is.
collapse. We
Mm,
have an ecological slash civilizational collapse that is now even prophesied by mainstream climate scientists and UN officials, even. And there's long been actually Kevin Hester, you talked about in the previous sentence. Kevin Hester has been saying for 10 years now that before everything collapses by its own, on its own, Americans, whoever, will start throwing some nuclear bombs on it. Maybe we can solve the problem with just bombing everything and whipping up some dust or whatever, and maybe that can, so it's the question of the controlled collapse. And some people are even saying that rather than having Mr. Trump back in the White House, the opposition in America would actually like to collapse the American society in a controlled manner. It's called controlled because it's more controlled than just everything collapsing on its own, but it has the potential to go wildly off plan if you try to do something like that. And some of the kind of facts or arguments for a controlled collapse happening, I think number one fact would be the fact that Kamala Harris wasn't really a real candidate. Some people are saying
mhm.
she
No.
had she never had the chance, and she didn't even win a single borough in America. Borough district, whatever it's called over there.
Yeah.
They didn't flip from red to blue even a single borough in the whole of the USA, which tells you something. And she didn't even go on the campaign talking about climate at all, or
No.
maybe for 5 minutes or something. So it seems like they put all their efforts and planning into control collapsing the transition process, so that whoever wins, which obviously was Trump, won't be sworn in and inaugurated on the 20th of January, because they would actually literally rather start a nuclear third world war than getting the so-called fascist anti-democrat back into office. I
Yeah,
don't
it
think
seems
anyone
that
can.
way.
I don't think anyone can actually understand the thinking of the so-called Democrats, because they seem to have a very special understanding of what a democratic process and a society means. But anyway, that's kind of one of those signs that we are going for a control collapse. There are
Right.
others, for instance, farms that are shut down, and meat packing plants that are torched in the night by allegedly by white supremacists, because no white people ever had a barbecue or ate meat, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's geez. People are not very bright. Okay, to believe what legacy media throws out. Like, I just cannot believe people believe it. I honestly am at a loss how people believe some of this stuff. Like, do you not have two eyes of your own? Do you not think about anything on your own logically? Because no. Where's my girl? I have a ghost. Sorry, distracted. Go ahead.
No,
That was my thought. Sorry.
I was just testing the audio on the stream, and it's working well. It's the first well working stream
Woohoo!
of this
We're
season.
getting
Hurrah!
it. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. I had a little dog break into my room. That's why my door was open by itself. Sorry. Sorry for the distraction.
And if we go over to Europe, there's also all of these farmer protests in the Netherlands and in the UK. Just a day ago, I think, in the UK, with farmers protesting the new tax rules and all kinds of government initiatives to make it harder just to produce food, right? And it seems there are some very woke people in government in the UK and the EU and in Washington that just wants everyone to go for vegetables and fruits instead of what people eat. And you
That
also
doesn't
have
make any sense.
and you also have these attacks on what you call it, power centrals or something, power stations, substations,
Mm.
that have been going on for many years already, and even there, the government is blaming some phantom white supremacists. They're kind of the new Muslims when it comes to the what FBI and who the FBI wants to blame. And there are also signs that having built up that illusion that every white person in America is either burning down meatpacking plants or blowing up power stations, substations, um, then there is an expectation kind of in the population that the so-called white supremacists are going to mass murder some refugees or black congregations or something. And to this is actually a kind of a deep state plot where you have a patsy group, right? Somebody
Hmm.
who didn't do it, who will be blamed for it, and then all
Hmm.
hell will break loose, like we saw in the Summer of Love in 2000. And this kind of thing, if they are right, so this kind of thing will happen before January the 20th, I guess, or maybe after. I don't know quite how they think about it, but in any way, it's going to derail having a new government, I think, in America.
Right.
Yeah,
But that's kind of
because they don't
the
like
part.
to. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's kind of the party political side of it. The larger side of a control collapse is that humans being humans, they just want to be in control of a devastating collapse instead of just letting everything break down by its own devices, right? So they don't want to
Right.
see more and more wildfires and heat waves killing people in their homes and stuff. So they would rather just, go pedal to the metal, as Kevin Hester says, right, for the rock wall. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Also wanting to, kind of blow things up, and I mean, sort of literally blow things up, just because you can't change. It's hard to change presidents during like serious wartime, changing leadership, and that's something that they've talked about with Biden, giving the bombs to Ukraine to bomb Russia.
Or the
I
go
mean,
ahead
it's
to
it's like
bomb.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're poking the bear, and it's almost like it's definitely on purpose to keep the war going. But and they know how dangerous Russia could be. Our weapons aren't even close to what they have.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do we? It has to be on purpose, but why? And I I can't I can't fathom the reasoning. I'm sorry, other than to try to collapse everything really fast, or to keep the same government we have, which is really the deep state, no matter who's in control. So
Right. Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I can for myself, I can imagine a bunch of different reasons, which, of course, the ones you point out are definitely up there.
What are some of the reasons you think, Kat?
Well, for sure, just to create as much mayhem as they can before Trump gets in. Maybe it's just to, again, I mean, a more recent example of not having having a change of leadership was Ukraine itself, right? With Zelensky just said, "Yeah, we're not having elections. I'm your dictator now." You know what I mean? What was
Yeah,
it, May or something, when they were supposed to have their elections? They didn't have them. But someone pointed out during that like Lincoln was re-elected. They had an election in the middle of their civil war, which was one of the worst, most most destructive wars in history, and human cost at least. Anyway, and yeah, I maybe that's what I think they're just trying to make things as dirty and nasty as possible before the new regime comes in. But who knows? Maybe Trump and Biden, or whoever, we'll just say Biden for the deep state bunch. Maybe they're in talking with each other and say, "Hey, yeah, create as much mayhem as you can so that I can come in and save the day, or maybe I can come in and just keep it going." It doesn't look that way to me at this stage. It looks like Trump really doesn't think these wars are a good idea. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I guess,
well, he's for the Israel Gaza thing. He
Yeah,
wants
I
to
we gotta
destroy
leave it
Gaza.
Israel aside, right? That
Yeah,
none of them. They're all bought or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but none of them. But just thinking of Ukraine and stuff. But at least that the Trump bunch have been saying, no, we can't. We have to stop this. But I just saw a
they
recent
have.
video. Yeah, they've been saying it all along. So at least they're saying the words. But I saw this thing with Trump about Syria, this video, and he says, and he's saying, you got the Taliban on one side and the Al Qaeda or ISIS on the other, and they're fighting. Just let them fight it out. Just let them fight each other, and we can just sit back, and watch it happen. But
Yeah, well,
Americans
that's what
got it.
I've always said. It's none of our business. Stay out of it.
That's right. That's right. And but the American government loves to get their fingers in every little pot, it seems.
I know.
But
So
and then it could just all be could be all just economics. Like, well, of course, we all the whole thing with the military industrial complex and all that stuff. I mean, God, they're rolling in the money, eh? My God. But that's nothing new, of course. So.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's also the things about just trying to destroy our food supply.
Right.
And I don't think it's just meat plants. It's also there was a big article saying that home gardeners are bad, are worse for the environment than big, large farms.
Yeah.
Which is crazy as all get out.
Yeah.
And
so they're going to make it as hard as possible for small farmers and stuff. And
or
gardeners,
just home gardeners,
for God's
people
sakes.
wanting to grow their own food. So that's terrifying to me because that's what I do. I mean, I have the goats for milk. I have chickens for eggs. I have a garden, chaos garden, but it's garden all the same.
You want to be self-sufficient, and we cannot have that. You have to be controlled by the government. Yeah, dependent. That's it. Ah, damn them all, man. That's so. Ugh.
Yeah, and then think about the flu, like the avian flu thing that they're pushing really hard.
Right.
And where they're destroying whole entire flocks.
Right.
It's kind of like that. There was another one earlier. I can't remember things.
There's something in Ireland. Didn't they kill a whole bunch of sheep or cows, like thousands upon thousands? That's one point.
Sure
Not recently, but yeah.
But the egg crisis and all that, and they were even if you reported your chicken got sick with this disease, they'd make you kill your whole flock or kill your whole flock.
Right.
Like I'm pretty sure that hit my farm. I lost like 4 chickens, but the ones that survived are immune from it, pretty much, because they've already been exposed.
Guys,
so
as an
venom is stupid.
Yeah, Chris, as something that might be encouraging for yourself, which I can see why you're worried and just concerned as hell, right? Like here, okay, there's some big-ish farms here, right? Like industrial type rice growing and stuff on the plains, and there's a company called CP that kind of owns a lot of it. But up here in the north of Thailand, there's no 10,000 acre canola farms. It just can't be here, right? So there's all these little small plots for rice and stuff. Up where I live, which is pretty high, there's really almost no farms at all because you just can't grow much here. I mean, I grow a kind of Thai version of indigo here, but it's not a food crop, right? And people have grow some things, but it'd be hard to have a sort of agriculture, like a farm garden sustainability here. You could do some for sure. Traditionally up here, people would hunt, right? Now it'd be very difficult to live off hunting up here. A lot of the wildlife is depleted quite a bit,
That's just sad. But no, I mean, anyway, in northern territories. Sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was just going to say, but there are a lot of small, like from American or Canadian standpoints, especially in the West, a lot of really tiny little farms, like tiny. Do you know what I mean? Like you could walk from one end in 3 minutes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of encouraging, right? Hasn't hit that here. It doesn't, from what I can tell. I mean, I could be wrong, right? Because I'm not in the loop of the situation. Or our big companies buying out these small farmers. That could easily be happening, right? But anyway, please, yeah. I just thought it might be nice to hear. Yeah. Oh, please go on, Chris.
Yeah, I like the thing about the smaller farm. Like I really honestly think that they should break up all the big massive farms, the single agricultural crop farms, and break them up into smaller farms with people raising varieties of crops and having more diversity. Uh,
Yeah.
Diversity is a huge thing, and it really goes a long ways. But the biggest thing that that I that blows me away is the people trying to get rid of meat. Um, I'm an animal lover. I just don't like the idea of growing or raising animals on a big, you know,
Hmm.
like feedlot type of thing.
Like
And
CAFO,
I
yeah.
think hunting's probably better, but if there's too many humans, then they'll overhunt it. But that's just there's nothing. I don't know what you can do about that. But they're the vegans, right? Which they're trying to like harass everybody into becoming vegan, and they don't understand that if you live in a northern climate, like
Yeah.
where GS lives, it's like how do you can't grow your own food like vegetables and that and the people
Yeah.
there that's what they live on. They live on meat because
Hmm.
I mean in there's just no way to grow reliable crops,
No.
especially without huge energy outputs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, exactly, Chris. I completely agree with you. And one thing that I really find interesting is that, in a general sense, okay, not everyone obviously, but in a general sense, the sense of place is often not even considered. Like you're obviously talking about place, right? If you live in the north
mhm,
in Greenland or the north of Canada, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever, everything's being flown in, right? So um oh shoot, what am I trying to say? Anyway, you know what
oh
I mean. I'm basically just
the
repeating what I'm saying.
nutritional value is very expensive and the nutritional value is way depleted.
Right. So I mean,
um well it is anyway, but
I've had so many arguments, especially with I spent a lot of time in Toronto when I was a younger adult, and so many arguments with people there about I'm mostly artists anyway. I have a thing about artists right now that I won't go on with it. Anyway, about all those rednecks in Alberta and Saskatchewan. I'm like, God damn you. You know what? Like I went on a 3 year solo long I told you, right? A 3 year solo long ride, a couple horses, not during the winter. Anyway, and I some of those ranchers I came across are like some of the greatest environmentalists I've ever met. They're so
mhm,
completely aware of the grasslands and the importance of grasslands need to be grazed to thrive, right? So well, we should just take the cattle off them. And it's like you'll destroy the
no,
grasslands, and there's
no,
so
you
little
can't.
of
You
it
need
left,
them.
right? Yeah, I mean, it'd be
You
great to
need
bring back
them.
the bison, but
Yeah,
maybe in a
well, since the
thousand
bison
years.
are gone,
Yeah,
that's a whole part of the the system, the environmental system
yeah.
that cows kind of replaced because the bison aren't
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and so many of
it's
these. I mean, some of these ranches are really like some they have some sort of what you might call cooperative ranches where people share like a huge 100,000 acre ranch land, right? And it's
mhm,
that's great. They have those in Saskatchewan, but I'd heard that they were changing. But some really big, like the McIntyre Ranch in southern Alberta, is like I don't know, 100,000 acres or something. Just anyway, big enough. Anyway, but they're
yeah,
so completely aware of their place in the land and stuff, and the history,
yeah, and how
and
they fit into it, and how they
absolutely,
need to fit
and
into it.
absolutely. So that's this thing of like you can people can judge another place that they have no idea about the reality of it, right? And to me, this is very
Hmm.
dangerous, like so dangerous. You can just all be vegan. All you have to do is go to the store. All food comes wrapped in plastic. Did you not know that? Kind of
I
thing,
know,
right?
or you
I
just
mean, it's kind
or
of
try to
it's a
grow your own
cliche.
food and have
Yeah,
you can't have a you can't get enough protein growing your own food. You can't.
right, right.
There's absolutely no way you can get
Oh, okay.
all the proteins you need just
Hmm.
growing veggies and
Yeah,
beans and peas.
right,
You can't
right.
live like that. You would die really, really soon.
Hmm.
Uh, it's
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
I don't understand their thinking. I've argued with vegans so many times when I had my little deal that I did, and man, they're aggressive, very aggressive
Can
about
be,
how
eh?
any meat eating. Sorry, that was
Yeah.
backwards.
I mean, there's this thing
Is
about death,
horrible.
right? That like I mean, GS. No, I think I mentioned to him about hunting and stuff, right? Like when I lived in Saskatchewan, I hunted deer and lived off that. Like I just live off deer and for months at a time. Not like my whole life or anything, right? And I had a
Hmm.
friend rancher friend I lived with who really basically mentored me and all that. And so I had tan deer hides prior to that, like smoke and brain tan and all that. So I was into that. And then he showed me how to gut deer and stuff and prepare it. And I already knew how to do hides and things. And there's something about, anyway, Chris, I don't know if this might be just I love animals too, right? Especially with horses. Anyway, but there's something about the reality of life and death, right? And
Hmm.
watching the lights go out on an animal, I it's for me it was like incredibly deep and moving. Like my value for this is too big a statement, but my value of life and existence shifted somehow, right?
Yeah,
And
well, it makes sense. But that's the
yeah, I
natural
mean,
order of things. That's the way
but
nature has
that's it.
existed
That's it.
way before humans were around. And I'm
That's
the
it.
natural. Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
That's like my core belief is we should fit in with nature, not be above it or
Yeah.
separate from it. And
Yeah.
that kind of means that we proceed the same way animals do. And sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes it's
Yep.
harsh. But
Yep.
when it's beautiful, it's freaking beautiful. It's
Yeah.
the most wonderful thing on in the world.
It is.
And
Yeah.
being,
I don't.
even though
Yeah.
I don't eat my animals, I still get to see life and death happen all the
Yep.
time,
Of course.
you know?
Of course. Yeah. And not just before humans, but almost the whole existence of humans of all kinds. If you're going back a couple million years, right? Really,
Hmm.
that is has been our main way of existence. And I for a long time I've thought, oh, it's the only possibility that we have, and this connects in with the collapse idea. And I'm not sure what to say about all this anymore. And part of it's where I live, right? I live in a different kind of place, and but part of me thinks, and I have thought for a long, long time that we're if if we're going to exist, it's going to end up at some point into the kind of a hunter gatherer. I mean, I love that those cultures anyway. But of course, the argument is, well, we can't live as hunter gatherers now. It's like, nah, no, we cannot. But I'm talking
Well, there's
a
not enough
thousand
animals to
years, two
support
thousand
how
years.
many people.
Yeah, but
If
but I'm
if
not
the
when I
population decreased greatly.
absolutely. Absolutely. So when I think of this, I'm thinking in terms of millennia down the road. Do you know what I mean? Like thousands of years, hundreds of years. I don't know. I don't know. And it's a academic. It's sort of a moot point anyway. It's more of a thought process of what could be down the road. It's not for
Well,
us.
absolutely, it is a
You
thought
could
process
live.
because. Uh, Go
I mean,
ahead.
I know that you could live as a hunter,
Hmm.
as
People have done it.
individual or yeah, and people in where I come from do it all the time, right?
Hmm.
And but one person or a few people in a small community, that's not 10 billion people, right? So anyway,
Right. There's
but
way too many people
anyway,
for that system to be sustainable.
yeah, yeah.
Also,
So it's not
so
a
we are at.
so I'm and like when I think that or say it, I'm not thinking of it as the solution. I'm thinking of it as a possible path towards. That's how I look at it. I don't know. I don't know what to say, guys. I got so disillusioned over the COVID time, and then I saw the climate, like mainstream climate propaganda using COVID propaganda, and I'm like, oh god. And even like I just still crushed when I saw a guy and his partner saying you have to go get the vaccine. I'm like, what the
I
fuck?
I didn't even
Jesus.
know he was pushing the vaccine. He was pushing the
Well,
vaccine. That's
I
news
saw
to me.
some.
Wow.
I saw. I'm sorry, I'm bad mouthing. Listen, I love. Like, I don't know Guy McPherson at all, but I know he's a lover of nature. Like I know that in my
I
heart, right?
invited. I had him on my show, so I got to talk to him for about an hour.
Right. So that's the
So
sense I get, and I admire him, right? But when I saw that happen, I just, I don't know.
no,
I
no.
went,
What the
oh
hell
God,
was he
guys.
thinking?
I don't know. And guys,
I
please take this with a grain of salt. I saw that
Mhm.
happen, and maybe it was just a moment.
Was
A
it
guy McPherson,
early in the whole COVID thing? Because
pretty
I was like,
early,
I don't know.
pretty
I
early
don't
in
know.
the vaccine rollout. Yeah, I don't know. Please, if someone knows otherwise, please let me know. I certainly do want to badmouth someone incorrect. I don't want to badmouth someone anyway,
Yeah,
but
I
I
would
don't
hate
want
to
to
be
speak
incorrect.
badly. I would speak badly, but I saw that, and now I can't unsee it.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
just
anyone who's
different.
pushed the vaccine, I've kind of distanced myself from as far as watching their show or anything like that. I was so on the fence, and I was watching um, Dr. John Campbell, which has become
Right.
pretty popular. But I
Yeah,
watched him
yeah, watch.
before COVID
Yeah,
ever happened, before anyone
yeah,
even heard of COVID. I
right,
was watching because of my own health issues. And so when
right,
he started going through the research papers as they were rolling out the vaccine, I became very skeptical
right.
and hesitant.
He
Uh,
did a really interesting switch around, and what was impressive to me about Doc John Campbell is that when he saw what was in front of him, he just went, "Oh, okay."
oh,
You know what I mean? He didn't try
and
to
he got
cover his ass or
vaccinated.
anything. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
No, and then he had the
but but
poster behind him that said, "Follow the truth wherever it may lead." And
but
I wish more
right, but
people
the
would do
thing,
that.
right, and then he switched and talked to Asim Malhotra and all that, and now he's just like, you know what I mean? Like that, I really admire. You know, he
Hmm.
spent his life in the medical system and had a trust. Fair enough, right? And then he saw the damage manipulations and just changed his position. I mean, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
100%,
Hey,
100% turnaround from beginning to where he is at
right?
now.
Yeah,
It's
no doubling
insane.
down. He saw what was before him, and boom, away he goes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You got to appreciate that because
I
not
do.
everybody is that honest.
Nope,
You know,
no, no.
he was, I don't know, he was amazing, but I found him first. I
Yeah,
found him
I know.
first.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that a few weeks ago, and that's awesome that you knew about him. Really great.
Yeah, way
Guys,
Is there?
before.
who are you talking about?
Oh,
Which
John
guy?
No,
Campbell, GS, Dr. John
Did you
Campbell. He's
did you have him on your show, Chris?
no, I did it. I mean, I did on video, like the videos he did.
Oh yeah, okay,
We had
okay,
those
uh,
on the show. I didn't interview him or anything. He's really hard to get
okay,
an
okay.
interview with,
I
but
get
we
it
did
now
talk about
because
him and had his videos.
yeah, I get it now because I couldn't understand because I was thinking about the people who were actually on your show and I couldn't remember anyone talking about getting the vaccine who were a guest, on talking with you. Right?
Yeah, no, we were too skeptical. We were waiting to see what the research played out on it, and they were trying to hide the research. But no, I mean, I don't know. I know everybody that was on my show at the time when we were going through all that. I know none of them ended up getting the vaccination.
hmm, interesting.
So
Hey guys, I really
because we
have
were
to
following the science.
apologize. Guys, I really have to
Mhm.
apologize. I have to blast off now.
Oh well, Kat, it
So
was super nice talking to you.
yeah, so good to see you guys. Well,
Well,
hear you guys.
likewise, it was
Yeah.
it
Sorry,
was
I just got done feeding animals, and no, I don't look good. I'm not gonna be on screen.
Oh no, that's what I want to see. That's someone often off feeding animals. That's a good look, in my opinion.
mm,
Anyway, thanks so much, guys. I'm gonna step off now, but hopefully
yep.
I can step in as
We
often
will
as I
keep
can.
your seat warm till next week. So we
Thank you.
hope we get you back then.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, well, looking forward to seeing you next week, Kat. You have a good night,
Good night,
Yeah.
day,
or
whatever it is there.
have a good day. Day, this day. Yeah.
So
Okay, have a good
Ciao.
day.
so
Okay, alla prochaine.
speaking about the vaccine, the first crew, the sort of first generation of this Extinctionati show and group at one point I was actually the only one who had taken the vaccine. The first 3 rounds of vaccines or whatever
Oh, you
in
did, Tarsha?
2021.
Ooh. Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
because everybody was kind of deceiving me. I would say now, family,
Mhm.
friends, etc. Everybody sort of said, "Ah, this is nothing. This is just an
A
upgrade to
normal.
our biology or whatever." Joking about it, and I think,
Um,
especially if you're kind of talking to your relatives about it or giving
yeah,
advice in
that was
any
the hard.
way, you should be
That was the
really,
hard
really
part. My kids
careful.
were pushing
Yeah.
me to do it really
Hmm.
hard, and I didn't.
Hmm.
I couldn't do it. Like what I was hearing from John Campbell, I'm like, no, because I already had heart issues. I couldn't do it.
Hmm.
So um,
That
they
that was a
they're okay
crazy
now,
time
but it did
period.
cause some family strife for a little bit.
It was a crazy period, and I remember because I was on the discourse. Is it called discourse?
Yeah,
Discord
discourse. Yes,
server.
this
I was on the
this.
Discord for the environmental coffee house, and I had just started reading the book about COVID by the new health minister in America. Kennedy. You heard about Kennedy?
Yes,
And
Kennedy.
actually then this woman called Sandy something, Sandra Shellis something. She came on there
Oh,
and said,
Sandra Schultz. Yeah.
"Oh no, you should this book that I haven't read myself. You should not read that because I've heard some people say it isn't so good or something like that, right? Which is kind of very anti-intellectual. Point one, she hasn't read the book. Point two, she says, "Oh no, you shouldn't read it." It's kind of like Nazi book burning. You heard about
Yeah,
Nazis
don't read,
burning books in the
don't
street?
inform yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
if you haven't actually read the book, who are you to say that some person on another continent should avoid reading it if it's already got it? That's kind of crazy.
that's censorship, and I don't like censorship. I'm against all censorship, and I want to get all the information I can, and I'm going to go and check it. You know, I mean, even the
Yeah, and
CDC showed that natural immunity works better than the
yeah,
vaccine
and the
did.
thing
So,
about the this is the Fauci book, right? It's called The Real Anthony Fauci. Came out
hmm
like 2021, something like that. And
hmm
Kennedy, the author, he says himself that it he has challenged his readers and his opposition or whatever to
hmm
find any error, to find any mistakes in the book. And I
hmm
don't know if it's still a thing, but he hasn't gotten any proof of any mistakes in the book, right?
right.
Uh,
No one's able to point
nobody,
out anything.
yeah, nobody who has read it has pointed out officially any mistakes in the book, and it's not a novel. It's a what do you call that? It's a non-fiction book about the real Anthony Fauci. The person
hmm
himself, what is done, and using the kind of tools and access that Kennedy has as a senator or whatever he was before. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
American, so
Fauci
I
was a
can't know.
horrible person, but
Yeah, and,
yeah,
and, and
Kennedy
what it
has
did,
always.
what it did about the AIDS. People are saying that COVID was only Fauci's second genocide, right? Because
Right, right. The
eh,
AIDS
you
thing
had
when
the
they sent all the
AIDS
bad vaccines.
thing first, and it's the same story because the medicine is more dangerous than the disease itself,
Right.
according to him, of course. I'm not the expert on health, but I've read his book, right? So
Right. Well, I've
and
watched Dr. John Campbell go over every single research study that was available, every single
mhm,
one on
yeah,
the COVID, at least. And
mm,
yeah, no, there was problems. There was problems, and then you find out later that Fauci loved to use beagles in studies and let bugs bite them to death. Like he just doesn't have any empathy. He's not a kind person. It's like everything's open to experimentation, and the
mm,
the COVID vaccine was a big, huge, giant experiment. It
Yeah,
was,
I think it
uh,
was Kat who posted on Facebook this week that there's only 20% of us or people, who speak up against fascists or totalitarian rulers or laws or whatever or abuse of power, right? So
right.
80% of us humans, they just say, well,
Go along.
that was that guy, but at least I'm keeping my mouth shut, so I don't have a problem, So people have kind of learned through the millennia to go along to get along, right? To to
Right.
avoid
Well, when they turn people against
trouble
you
for
through
their person.
the
Uh,
legacy media, and they, and that's by design to get people against each other. It honestly is.
yeah,
But the both sides were for the vax, like both Fox and the other one were both kind of pushing it at one time. I'm not sure if Fox still is because they let Kennedy on, but yeah, I mean, I don't like to be manipulated. I do not like to be manipulated. I hate it.
okay.
I'm afraid to.
I got my line of thought again back again after the interruption. So I think a lot of us in the 20%, we really want to see some justice.
Mhm.
Bring them to justice, bring Fauci to justice. We can't let you be a genocidal maniac on government money, without tax money, and go around killing babies and kids and pregnant mothers and old people with these
Young men.
remedies, which are not, yeah, and even young men and athletes and sports people, right? Uh,
Hmm.
we're not going to go along with that. So one of the very few reasons to be happy about what happened in America last month is that uh, Kennedy is going to be the Minister of Health. He's going to
Yes.
fucking stop the grifters in the pharma industry who are themselves writing the acceptance letters for new medicines that haven't been tested. Right? They have not been tested. They are dangerous. There's the reason you
Hmm.
had those testing periods for many years. You had
Hmm.
to test a remedy before you could, sell it to the population. And
It took 10
I
years
think,
for a vaccine to be approved
yeah,
before COVID.
and the COVID vaccine wasn't even vaccinatory. It didn't stop people from spreading it, getting sick of it, dying of it. Right? So it's like a four angle, all the four directions: east, west, south, north. It fails in every way possible, right?
Hmm.
And they had to rewrite the definition of what a vaccine is supposed to be in the
Yeah,
dictionary.
exactly. But the mRNA vaccine, yeah, but they're trying to put all the other vaccines and make them into mRNA vaccines. So
Yeah, they're crazy, and they have to be
they're
stopped.
nuts.
We
They
had a
do.
stopping 2 years ago or something, which to us in Greenland anyway seemed to be starting in the Faroe Islands, the tiny island states in the North
Mhm.
Atlantic, because they just refused to use the vaccine passports. They just scrapped them from one day to another on a Tuesday, I
Mhm.
think, and then everything fell apart because the sort of the disease was going out, was sort of tampering out, and you had that refusal to accept the vaccine passports on your phone, and then it spread to
Mhm.
Greenland and Denmark, and then one country after another just said no, fuck this, right? So
Right.
that was kind of a good development back in 22 or something. But the problem is you can't just say, "Woo, that was a close shave. Now let's move on," because you have to get the people behind it, right? You have to get those
Mhm.
people who wanted to transition to a authoritarian society. using lies and fake medicines and a panic.
Yeah, manipulations,
Mm.
sympathy, like you're going to kill your family members by not getting it, um, which
It's
was total
terrible. It's
BS.
absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst things that we have experienced in our lives. The us people who didn't experience the Second World War and Nazism. This is one of the
Mm-hmm.
worst things ever experienced after the dropping of the nuclear bombs in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to get to the bottom of it. And that is going to be, that's one of the main reasons we should have weekly shows and not monthly, because so much is going to go down, and we're gonna watch it go down, and we can come on here and comment on it and say what does it
Mm-hmm.
mean, and are they failing, are they being duped or corrupted? Will the second Trump regime, just buckle under or take the bribes? All of those kinds of things. It's going to be very interesting to follow, I think, and also,
It
of
is.
course, to see what's actually going to happen on the climate and the net zero front, because the European Union has gone batshit crazy on getting to so-called net zero, which is kind of just a bookkeeping trick, which is going to
Mm-hmm.
fool the population into thinking we're taking climate action. We're gonna stop this climate thing in its tracks.
There's
All
no such
bullshit,
thing as
right?
net zero. There is no such thing as net
Absolutely not.
zero. I hate it when people say net zero because as long as there's a population of human beings on the planet, you're not going to be
Mm,
at net zero. As long as there are babies wearing diapers and
mm.
and consuming the nature, there is no net zero. There is no net zero. Any consumption is taking from the climate. And I ran out of
And,
ways to say that. I have.
and that is exactly why the EU is moving into a totalitarian direction, because it's very easy, or fairly easy, for people to see through this bullshit, this climate policy bullshit, right? So
Mhm.
the only way for them to prevent everybody seeing it, seeing that the emperor has no clothes, is to make
Mhm.
everybody fearful of being arrested, being debanked, being put on trial for bullshit comments on Facebook or whatever. They want to make everything a hellhole to live in, so that everybody is scared 24/7. Um,
And they'll conform. They'll conform to
yeah, because then
whatever
their lies,
crumbs they're getting.
then their lies can survive, even though you have the internet. Because the internet was a huge threat to any kind of authoritarian government, obviously. But they found ways to kind of sort of work around it, or they actually use the internet itself to track everything everyone says 24/7.
Mhm.
If you snore in your sleep, your iPhone will probably pick it up and alert the government.
Mhm. Oh, it's absolutely true. Absolutely
Yeah.
true. They hear everything. They hear everything we're saying right now, which puts us in a little danger, I guess.
Yeah, we are live streaming to YouTube and Rumble, so it's not a big surprise that they can hear what we're saying right
Well, yeah. But I can't stay quiet sometimes. I just can't. It's like truth needs to be heard. It needs to be said. And uh, I'm just so frustrated that people just follow along, go along, get along, go along, get along
Yeah,
without
but
questioning anything.
it's like the post that Kat put on Facebook. It's sociologists, the people, psychologists, whatever, who study these kinds of things, how humans have developed after hundreds of thousands of years. It's always been safest to keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, and not look
Hmm.
people into the eye, and always hang with the strong herd. Always hang with the toughest. guys
Right.
or the
And in
most
my own community, I
outspoken.
do that.
Hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was finished.
Okay, no, but in my own community, I
Hmm.
honestly don't be outspoken with people that live around me, because if civilization sort of collapse, or there's a food shortage, you know,
Hmm.
um, if the transportation system shuts down or anything like that, I don't want to be out there and an enemy to the people, you know. Um,
No.
I'm kind of gray man. Like, no one will really know what I really think. If you push anything environmental, regardless, I mean, I can talk to Trump people and say, hey, yeah, the Green New Deal is BS, and it really doesn't help the environment. Um, and I can, but I can't talk to left wing people, which is really weird because I'm more left wingy. I can't talk to them. It's just, we are living in the weirdest time ever. I swear to God. Like,
Hmm.
where's my tribe? And
And I would like to
honestly,
add that in George Orwell's 1984 dystopian novel, it's not a coincidence
mhm,
that the totalitarian government is a leftist government called INGSOC, English Socialism. That's the name of the party that is
mhm,
ruling in 1984. It's not a coincidence. It is absolutely a possibility now, and it was when he wrote the book in 1949. You had plenty
mhm,
of left wing totalitarian regimes in the world in 1949, and
mhm,
you I don't know if you have today. I can't really place China. They're just evil. You know how they treat their population. Uh,
mhm.
I can't really say if they are left wing or right wing. I don't know enough about it, because they are capitalist in their industrial policies. That
Yeah, well,
it's not a big deal. It's no fucking big deal if something is left or right in 2024. It's the only thing that matters is if you accept and allow your population to talk to each other. You know.
okay. Let's not use left or right wing. Let's use wrong or right. Okay. And right to me is is anti-war.
Hmm.
War, just the building of the bombs and the machinery and all that, and the bombing itself is horrible for the environment. In my book, it's like one of the worst um, effects on the environment ever. So there's that, and okay. The social injustices are not as important to me. Um, they're not life or death generally. I mean, unless there's, there are circumstances where it is, but uh, they're making left wing kind of wrong in so many areas because they're pro war. They're not supportive of the worker, like that that would be right, to be supportive of the working man. Where they're, I don't know. I mean, closing down the railroad strike and all that Biden did, that was definitely right wing, and but it was wrong. But changing a child's gender when they're a baby, uh, under 18, before they kind of had a chance to figure shit out, is wrong, and it goes against all
It's
nature. I mean, just deal
it's
with what
pretty
you
mu- it's
have.
it's pretty
Be
messed
happy.
it's pretty messed up because in many countries and areas you're not allowed to have a tattoo on your fucking arm when you are 15, but you're allowed to cut your wiener off or your tits off.
Yeah, you can't go to a
That's
tanning salon if
no
you're under 16.
exactly
You can't go to a
right.
tanning salon if you're under 16. I mean, but you can
It
change your
makes it
gender,
makes no
and
sense.
they'll pay
It
for
makes no
it.
sense.
They'll pay for
Yeah, it absolutely makes no sense, and they kind of made it into a human right issue
it.
to make up your mind when you're at 12 about if you're
Yeah.
going to be a father or mother when you're grown up, or uh,
To
basically
mutilate,
not go-
like, let's be honest,
you
it's
you're basically
mutilating
you're
a
basically not going to
body,
be a mother or father, but be a presenting man or
male or
presenting lady or
uh,
whatever. You
yeah,
shouldn't let a child decide whether it should be sterilized or not. It has to be an
exactly.
adult decision. And I think
Right.
I don't know in Norway if you have to be 18 or 20 to sterilize yourself. You kind of should be at least sexually mature for in the
Yeah.
first
I think
place.
16, if I could have just, I mean, I love my kids, don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't replace them for the world. But if I could have, when I was 16, sterilized myself, I would have.
Hmm.
But that would never be allowed, except for if you're saying your kid's transgender at
Hmm.
that age. I couldn't do it till I was 23 or had had two kids or three
Hmm.
kids. No, it was three kids. They the doctors would not allow me to get sterilized until I was 23 or had three kids.
Okay, I have a question. Do
Hmm.
you think, and this is kind of a civil, no, philosophical or sort of bigger
I
question
love
question.
philosophical. Okay, I love
Okay,
philosophical.
so let's say I think that you and I can agree that they've gone completely off the reservation on most issues, right? So
Hmm.
do you think um, that the so-called Democrats, who don't care about democracy, do you think they have amped up the silly born in the wrong body kind of thing in order
Hmm.
to make Republicans go nuts and get violent or stage a coup or something? Do you
Probably
think?
because. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Do you
Finish
think
your
they
thought.
have? Do you think they have? Some kind of weaponized that kind of craziness, like some kind of controlled collapse, or to make a civil war. Do you think that that's a reasonable thought, or?
Absolutely. Not just with that, but other things. But yes, absolutely. Those social issues are
Hmm.
triggers for the
Okay.
religious right. They're
So it's
triggers.
it's a, it's it's a
And
bit like poking the Russian bear, poke, poke, poke,
hmm
poke for decades, and
hmm
then finally Russia gets on its feet, and then they yell, "Oh, it's totally unprovoked! A totally unprovoked attack! It came over the border,
right.
no provocation." Uh, That kind of
Right.
thing.
Like I hated that with Ukraine. I screamed at the TV. My husband was sick of me screaming at the TV. He's like, I want to hear this. I'm like, but it's propaganda. It's not true what they're saying. Oh my gosh,
Uh,
my poor husband.
and
And then try keeping him.
I live in a NATO country that is not the head of NATO, right? Neither
Hmm.
Sweden nor Norway is in the head of NATO. It's America decides
Hmm.
everything in NATO, right? So one thing
Hmm.
that you probably don't know is that all of those sick lies about unprovoked attack, etc., are totally translated word by word to every different NATO country language and put in all their newspapers and TV news. So they will say
Really?
uprovoset angrep på dansk in Danish and almost the same in Swedish and Norwegian, right? Word by word
Hmm.
translated from the official talking points from the deep state NATO uh, source in America. So there's no freedom to even have a slight other explanation about the war in Ukraine in Norway from what you have in America. It has to be the same, and they take no chances, and they fire journalists and close down newspapers if they stray from the narratives.
They do the
Absolutely
same
not
thing here.
democratic. Hmm.
They absolutely have done the same thing here. I think it is like all the NATO countries have to have the same agenda, the same narrative. It's just the deep state in action. They have to keep that narrative going, and it pisses them off that there's all these um, small channels, or the independent media that is speaking against those narratives. That's why the censorship, and they do want to cause grifts between the left and the right, because if we actually talked to each other, we would agree on probably 99% of the issues, and they don't want us to get that close to each other to talk it out. And I mean, I'm not talking about the climate change thing, because a lot of people, their left and right, have the majority are totally messed up on that issue, and the right side thinks that climate change isn't a thing, and the left side thinks we need to do the Green New Deal, or do all these things that are actually worse, but they're money makers for the wealthy, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I know they're trying to distance us and get us all fighting. I know that. That's just common sense. I mean, if you can't see that, you must be blind, you know?
Well,
And they want a civil war. I think they do want a civil war.
yeah, I have the solution for the latter problem
Hmm.
about climate. I actually have the solution for uniting the left and right. So this channel will probably be shut down within 5 minutes, I guess, if the
Probably.
deep state is listening. But I will say it anyway because I'm fearless.
Me
So
too.
the solution is basically to look at the smallest or biggest achievable compromises, right? So the first compromise between left and right when it comes to climate is that whatever the Democrats think they can do, they can't actually do at this late stage, right? So there is
Hmm.
nothing that politicians and their friends in the industry can do now that will affect climate on the planet.
No,
Because
it's all baked in already. It's
yeah,
done.
yeah, because when you get into the steep part of the exponential graphs, they are very steep. So even if
Hmm.
you shut down, even if you were able to shut down North America and Europe for 5 years, like in a super COVID whatever thing, right? If you shut down
Hmm.
all activity and everybody was just at home in their bed for 5 years, right? No cars, no nothing. It would basically probably be like, yeah, you save the planet for a week or something, right? In the final end of things, in the final
Right.
in the final uh, extension of
But would it though?
of the temperature
Because
graphs, because
yeah.
it's going so fast. So if you can kind of, politicians say that every inch or whatever matters, right? It's totally wrong, totally BS. Because
Yeah.
when it's going that fast, how can I explain it? Let's say you are pedal to the metal into a rock wall in your car, right? And
Hmm.
these people would say that, yeah, but if you just slow down half a kilometer an hour, you're driving 200 kilometers an hour into the brick wall, and if you slow down to 199.5, whatever, then it's not so hard to hit the wall. Yes, it's very hard, and you will certainly die anyway. Right? So maybe that's the best
Hmm.
comparison
That's a good analogy.
analogy
Absolutely.
for it. Yeah.
But the right wing's not going to buy that, because they don't think
No,
that
but
there is.
that's why you have to work on the compromise. So the wording of the
Mhm.
compromise, whatever. So the
Okay.
first compromise, as I said, is that humans in 2025 cannot affect the outcome of the climate thing. Both
Hmm.
parties can agree to it. The only one who won't agree to it are Michael Mann and his sidekick Hopus, something Hopus, who was one of the
Hmm.
COVID villains. Actually, they were writing a book together about these evil people who don't trust science. How can they not trust science after the pandemic? That book is coming out in January. I think we should review the book on this show. uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so we can make those kinds of, you can put it in writing, so it's kind of easier to get all the words right and stuff, right? So that's one
Hmm.
compromise. And the next point or compromise for the left and right on climate would be a complete agreement that climate policies like the European Green Deal and also the AOC Green Deal in America, they are hoaxes. Absolutely, full stop. Uh, they are hoaxes because they are vast programs that cost billions and fix nothing, right? So
Yeah, and they
nobody
make money for
on,
people. The
yeah,
bigwigs, the deep
nobody
state, they make money.
nobody on the nobody on the left or right wants to uh, pay billions for something that absolutely cannot work, doesn't work and cannot work because of science, because of hard scientific facts. So we can build two or three or more points like that that absolutely would unite the right and left, or the wrong and right, or whatever, if we were allowed to talk and also have reach into each other's camps, because many of the social media companies are set up to sort of isolate people in a bubble, which is left or right or anti-climate, pro-climate, whatever bullshit.
Right.
So that is, that could be, potentially could be a program for this podcast in 2025. Assemble
Hmm.
those three, four, 5 points, and improve them and agree upon them, and then let different people in the panel on this show uh, attempt to go out to the other side of the aisle or whatever, to the other sides of the argument with
Hmm.
that kind of compromise position, and have people from those camps on the show, for instance. So we could be uniting both America and the planet about climate. People who you'd never think would be even possible to unite. We can unite them because we as human beings have interests. We are interested in living on this planet, and we don't give a fuck about politicians who are just lining their own pockets, right? That's not what
Right.
we wake up in the morning having sweet dreams about. We don't care about politicians. We want to have an existence, and we want our children to have an existence. So that's me
Yeah,
going down into a deep state hellhole, black site, I
for sure.
guess. And
But I did that. I did that. Yes, I've had people. I invited people, the trolls,
mhm.
on my my podcast, my show. I invited the trolls on, the the right wing, or the vegans, or all that, to have those discussions. And I think that's what's very much needed, especially with people who are very knowledgeable about the topic, people
Mm,
who've actually looked into it and researched it and whatever, and let them talk. Like, let people talk. And I got a
mm.
lot of hate for that, bringing people on that didn't agree. And
Yeah, tell
and
me about it.
yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
sucks, but whatever. I'm sorry. I like to communicate with people. I like to see what the other side is thinking.
yeah,
I want to know, and I want to try to talk to them, and maybe I can learn something. And I have learned a lot talking to the other side, and I've actually done 360s on many topics.
yeah.
Um,
That's
for one, Trump,
that's
but that's
those
a
are
different issue.
those are very good experiences to have. When we launch, if we launch that campaign on the new year, to unite
Hmm.
on climate, because
I'm looking
even
forward to
though
it.
uh, I've also tried, in a smaller scale, getting people on very devoted groups onto the Facebook and stuff to actually, to get their mouth running, to get them talking, to get them, thinking and opening their mind a little bit larger. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it's hard, but it's hard, but it also, you know, what worthwhile things in life are not hard,
No,
at
it
least
is
in the
hard, and
beginning.
it's super hard to get yourself down to a point where you're not in an echo chamber, and
Yeah.
you're listening to the other side, and then do some research on what they have to say, because you never know, they could be right on something, and that's fine. You just need to be open to changing your opinion, because they are right and you are wrong,
Mm.
and you can open yourself up for that. And I'm all about the learning and getting better. And most people just want to be right. That's the hard part. Most people just want to
I
be
think
right.
I think mostly when things are not working out in that kind of a conversation, um, it is because if you say X, right?
Hmm.
You say that the CI is record low or whatever, right? Which I
Hmm.
usually say based on
Yeah,
some
right.
published facts. Actually, just
Hmm.
last night, the Arctic sea ice went record low for the day of the year. For the date of the year. Um,
Goodness Christ.
but if I go into a conversation having posted facts about ice, then the other person will say, "Oh, you just want to suck up to Climala and take away our cars and our hamburgers." No, I don't. That's not on my agenda. That's her agenda, maybe. I don't know. So the first sort of obstacle is that people maybe on the other side, they have their fixed ideas about, okay, everyone who cares about snow and ice has to be an anti-democratic monster in a democratic party, right? Which is not
Right.
always true. There are some
No,
people
it's
who
not.
care about snow and ice who just like snow and ice, and who just maybe they are nerds, maybe they are obsessing about the ice on the planet, whatever. But we need nerds as well. Most of the cool things you have today are created by fucking nerds. If it's the
Mhm.
YouTube or the X platform or the phone or your iPad, they're all created by nerds. So you absolutely need them in your life, or
Mhm.
you need
I
what they
love
make
nerds.
anyway.
I am a nerd in certain circumstances. Certain things I
Yeah.
get very nerdy about.
So
I'm
I think
obsessive compulsive.
yeah, I think well, the first things we have to loosen up in those conversations with people of other opinions is the notion that if you say A, you have to say B, C, D, E, F, G. You, know, you have to say
Hmm.
the whole alphabet basically. But that's not
Hmm.
how the world works or thinking works. You can perfectly say that the sky is blue and not be a communist, for instance, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes the sky is actually blue, and sometimes even if Deng Xiao, what's the name of the leader in China? Xi or something?
Z,
Yeah.
something like that.
Even if Xi says the sky is blue, it may actually be blue in Peking. And we also have satellites and webcams to verify if it's blue. So it's not necessarily a lie just because it comes from leader X or leader XI. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
have to
agree.
kind of people need to compartmentalize the tidbits or facts and not connect them in long chains that go all the way to the moon. If you say A, then you mean B, and you imply C. that means that you want to kill all cats or whatever, right? No.
Right.
All I
No.
said was
I
the
mean, but
sky is blue. You invented all the stuff about killing cats. You know that was not in my comment, right? You just
yeah, they automatically
assumed.
assume if you believe X that you
Yeah, yeah,
automatically believe Y
right.
and Z. And it's like, no, no, back up the truck. I believe in X, but I don't necessarily believe in Y or Z.
Mm,
So, and this is why. And if you could have that kind of calm conversation with somebody, I think
uh,
you could find a lot of common ground, but not everybody's willing to do that.
and now I kind of feel that everything harkens back to the Logic app that I developed in the last decade, in the 2010s. It kind of feels, maybe that's just how how I focus and how my mind works, because I had a 2 or 3 year uh, attempt at creating something like Twitter, but it would work not just he said she said, reply reply reply, but based on logical axioms and IDs and plus and minus. You know, do you agree with this isolated fact, right? And then you can chain the facts into larger logical strings.
Yes.
Let's say, for instance, yeah, I think maybe kittens are living things, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does that apply that cats are living things as well? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about dogs, right? So then there are lots of implied logical rules to existence and to the universe, right?
Right.
And if you could split, uh, let's say, conversations or arguments or whatever down into their logical components, then you would at least get a different setting for these conversations. That is that sort of forces people to not assume 1 kilometer long string of x, if x then y then z then blah blah, and then maybe people could in the end learn to get along, right? That's kind of a hippie dream. When I talk about it now, it feels like a hippie dream that I had when I was on
It's a hippie dream I have
marijuana or
too,
something.
and I've had for a very, very long time. FYI, Oswald Spengler.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see
I
him now.
know. R.I.P. Collapse Chronicles. I think he'll be back. He can't stay away. He can't.
Oswald. The,
He's,
the, the problem the problem with Oswald
I'm
is
all.
that for 3 years, 4 years maybe, he's been invited to come along on the show, and he feigns an interest in that, and how do I do that? Just never comes on the show. So I have
Well, it's
totally
super
given up.
easy. You get a link
Yeah,
and you
he
click
he
on it.
knows how to do it. He just doesn't want to. And because he's been one of our most faithful commenters on the YouTube chat,
Oh, nice. Do you want to
I am.
explain to him who I am? Because he thinks I'm new to these parts, and because I don't comment on
I'm
a lot of.
thinking that we just give up completely on getting people from the YouTube chat over to the show, because I think he
Don't
has
give up.
proven.
I've done it a billion times. I did it a
No, no, no,
billion
no,
times
no,
when
no,
I
no,
had my
no, no, no,
show.
no. You don't understand. I think he
Okay,
has
sorry.
proven that it is impossible. In practical terms, he has proven it, because there's a reason he's there and not here, and it's because he doesn't want to go anywhere else, right? And uh, your show was different. We can agree as a compromise that it was different from this show, and from Extinctionati, earlier
Yes,
versions of
it is
Extinctionati.
a
Yeah,
little different. I mean, in a lot of ways the same though.
yeah, yeah. Of course, it was topically some of the same things, but Extinctionati had loads of way out there, woo kind of topics as well. yeah, too long story to go into right now, but it's a different show than yours. You had some experiences. It was also, what is it, 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was a
Your
while
show,
back.
yeah, yeah.
It was
So it
well
was
up
it was
until it was 2020 when I stopped,
yeah.
but it
So
was
we can
yeah, it was
agree. We can agree that it was a different situation, and also you are a beautiful young woman. So of course, it's much easier for you to get some people to come along on your show.
we should try to get Derek Jensen on the show because he was my very favorite person to interview. Just saying.
Totally, I'm 100% for that.
I'm gonna hit him up because and we have to work around his schedule though. It would have to be a one-off kind of thing because it's hard to get his schedule worked out. My voice is familiar. I used to do the natural prepper, the natural progressive, all that before progressive was a dirty word. So I am the heart of the chat. Awesome. Yeah, you probably heard me before. I mean, I've been on a lot of other shows too. But yeah. Anyway, it's nice to meet you, Oswald. Sorry, I always involve the chat in my combos because that's just what I do. You know me. Come on. You were part of my chat once, a long time ago, in a planet far, far away. Are you still there? Okay, I guess GS is muted at the moment. So, um, what else? I don't know what to say, but glad you're here, and I really, really hope you decide to come on the show one day, even though um, GS says you won't. Prove him wrong. I'd love it. Oh, come on. I still want to talk to him. I don't care if he talks to Nazis or not. I really don't care. I just love to talk to him about the the nature thing, the whole what's going down. Oh dear, I know you. Okay, yeah, the natural progressor. That's me. Yeah, long time ago. Thanks for remembering me. I think I remember you too, actually. It's very, very familiar. Very, very nice of you to be here. The only chatter so far, besides GS. Um, yeah, he will come back.
Okay, I was
Everyone's
muted.
got
I
their
was
correct.
muted. Sorry.
I know you were
Uh,
muted. I was trying
I
to
just I
carry it
just
on.
found I just found another housekeeping item, for the group and for next week. I think we should instruct the people who are on the show to share
Uh-huh.
to their favorite social media, to share, the YouTube link to their Facebook or whatever, TikTok, whatever people are on,
Um,
and
gee,
maybe also to for the people who cannot be on the show in a particular week, that they can kind of compensate for not showing up. They can share it, to their Twitter and stuff.
I can share it to certain people, but I can't put it publicly um,
No,
because
no, but
of legal stuff right now. I can't, but
yeah,
I will
no, but
share it privately.
to the extent that people are able to do it safely, of course.
Yeah.
If you live in China and or in California and have a totalitarian government breathing down your neck, of course you cannot
I
share
live
it.
in Utah, and they're totally against any environmental people. They would call me a terrorist if I
Yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
anything about climate change or the environment. They will they will gun me down. No, I'm being a little sarcastic, but not much. Um,
But there's a
I,
trick. You can just say clean air and clean water, and then it's okay. Yeah.
yeah, but they would listen to it. But I will share it to my contacts for sure. There's also another issue going on. That's kind of private. I'll tell you about it when we're not live.
Here it says in the
So,
chat that Derek Jensen is talking to Nazis these days. Oh my God! Does
yeah,
that
I have
mean
no
he's
idea what
talking?
that's about.
Does that mean he's talking to Bobby Kennedy as well? Is he talking
I don't.
to to the new head of the FBI after the election. That is very
Uh,
scary. You know, the Kennedy
oh,
clan, Kennedy
Kennedy's.
family, they scare the shit out of me. You know, they stopped the
Yeah.
Bay of Pigs invasion, I think, in Cuba, and
Mm.
they
His
also
family is
averted
against him, so that only makes me
no,
like him more.
not the living family. I only respect the dead part of his family. You know, his uncle and his daddy,
Hmm.
who stopped the nuclear war, Cuba crisis situation. I wouldn't want to be talking to that kind of Nazis.
The Mormon transhumanist. No, apparently not. I have no idea what that is. Transhumanist. Sorry, I was reading that wrong. Transhumanist Association. No, I'll have to look that up. And I would love to have Sam on and Derek Jensen. That would be
Oswald
fabulous.
Oswald Spengler, I think your facts yeah, that you put in chat just now are at least 3 or 4 years old, because I've seen the same YouTube interview with somebody on the right. You know, I think you're still harping on about the same thing that was. I think it looked like a mistake back then, and if you're still going on about that, then it doesn't seem like you are being totally fair about who Jensen wants to associate with. That's more like what a Democrat would say, so-called Democrat in quotes. You know, who wants
Oh
to paint
yeah,
everybody who disagrees with him as a Nazi and a fascist. Are you one of those
yeah. I
guys
hope
as well?
I hope not. I really hope not because the transgender thing where they protested him in his during his talks was kind of
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous because he was just talking about scientific facts of gender and
Oh, but
and
that is an amazing YouTube video where he actually wins over the crowd. He has a very tough crowd in a university or
yeah,
something in America, and he
yeah,
just destroys them logically, at least. And
yeah. He comes from a scientific standpoint, not
yeah,
he's not like against gays or trans or anything. He's just coming from a scientific viewpoint, which is fine,
oh
I
my
think.
god,
But
Oswald Spengler, if you guys get some Sam Mitchell and Derek Jensen on a show, I'll join it. I promise. I 100% do not believe you, Oswald. You are full of shit. Uh,
but
so
I would still love to get those
while
two on a
while
show. That
while
would be
Derek
fabulous.
Jensen while Derek Jensen would be a fantastic thing to have back on. He has already been on Extinctionati a couple of times,
Oh,
I
nice.
think.
Really? I need to go back and watch those.
Sam Mitchell has just hours ago said that he is completely out of the doom or climate spare. He don't want to talk to anyone, and he hates everybody, and including
Oh,
himself.
God.
And he is considering doing the thing that one of the other doomers did with a gun some years ago.
I do not believe him.
So
I talked to
it's
him yesterday.
impossible. It would be impossible to have Sam Mitchell on the show, and also you wouldn't join him and come on the show anyway. So spare your lies. We don't believe you anymore. We've seen you around for 4 years. You're not coming on the show. It's not because you're not allowed by me or anyone to come on, but you're not being honest
You,
about wanting to come on the show.
you don't believe you.
No,
But
exactly.
so Eugene, Oregon is where my husband's family is from also. That's interesting.
I was a huge fan of the entire Eugene, Oregon scene. You know, back in the 1990s, the crazy Earth First 1990s. Uh, you know, when you're young and rebellious, right? You like everything that is different, or that is
Oh yeah.
looks brave
Yeah.
or whatever, even though it may not be smart or anything, and it may
Mm.
land you in jail or destroy your entire career for the rest of your life. It's cool to have some heroes, in the Wild
Mhm.
West on another
Mhm.
continent who are doing crazy stuff, like in some of the Indian movies or whatever. They have just some very brave kids who are going out there burning down ski resorts or whatever.
Oh wow,
It's
that's
just
crazy.
it just makes it just makes your life as a youngster more exciting that there are that kind of people uh, going around with a lighter. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I'm
that's
not
many
that
years
crazy.
ago. That's many moons ago, and my restless activist heart has frozen long ago, and I no longer want to see any kind of revolution. Uh, in that sense, I'm more like spiritual revolution. Like the thing that Chris and I talked about 10 minutes ago about uh, helping people to get along and to agree about climate change, for instance.
Hmm.
That would be amazing.
Understand each
What
other, come together. Yeah.
yeah. What if our little group, our tiny little group, in 2025 could make people all over the world come together and say, okay, we agree on climate, and
Mm.
politicians, you're fired. You're all fired.
I would love to fire
Maybe
all the politicians.
maybe even
You despise Jensen's.
Donald Trump could get behind this campaign to fire everyone.
Right. He despises Derek Jensen's haters well enough to attempt the level of sarcasm displayed above. Okay, awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Okay.
Well,
I
Oswald
love it.
is an
I love
eager.
it.
You are an eager commentary. I'll give you that, Oswald, and we love
I
having
love
you.
that though. You know what? That will drive people here because it bumps up your algorithms. And by
And
the way, you should have everyone who's on make sure they like the video before you start, or when we get
and
started. Make sure they like it.
Oswald, you actually succeeded in revealing an MI6 agent who was on this podcast a few years ago. I'm not sure if you can guess which guy from London that you were able to sort of smoke out. Let's see if he comes back to us.
I'm like,
That was all you,
no, I
Oswald. This
remember
was all you.
Oswald Spengler. No, I think about it. It's been a while. I mean, I haven't done a show in like almost 5 years,
Uh,
so it's been a while. Been a while, and yeah, I remember Oswald. Yes, I do. That's so
we
cool.
had
I love that.
we had initially two, but in the end, I think there were three intelligence agents who were very punctual and always showed up on time for the show. So I was kind of
Nice.
thinking maybe we need some more intelligence personnel who want to infiltrate the group, because at least they show up on time and
Yeah,
they
at
get
least
paid
they show up and
and
they're consistent. I'm gonna be more
yeah,
consistent for you. Yes, I will be
that's
more
great.
consistent,
I love it.
and then
I
we can
already
start
love
on time,
I already
right?
love you, and if you can show up on time as well, then that would be
I
fantastic.
will, but I'm not gonna sit here and wait and do nothing. If I'm gonna show up, we're gonna talk. Okay? Is that
That
cool?
really scared you, didn't it? It really scared you to
Yes.
have to wait
I was
in
like,
for
no,
hours and hours.
no, I'm not gonna sit here and wait and do nothing. I mean, I didn't do nothing. I had Sis was on mute. I was watching other videos, but no, I'm not gonna. No, I want to talk, and so even if it's just me and you, we can have a consistent show. And if other people show up, great, awesome, right?
There's a bingo as well. It's the right guy. He guessed which MI6 agent he
Oh, okay.
smoked out. So
AKA Bob.
yeah, he
Bob.
called himself Bob on the show, and
Oh, was it like
that was
Tim
kind of
Bob or?
no.
Uh,
That was kind of
no.
scary,
Okay, sorry.
but yeah, we can
That is.
revisit the story of the first crew in another episode, I guess.
I would love to, but gosh, we have like
Yeah,
5 minutes left, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
and I think we should. what do you call that when you round it off into stopping? I don't know. You should
Conclude,
uh,
conclude, summarize.
conclude,
Oh.
summarize, close. Um, yeah, so we go on with the weekly shows, and remember to send suggestions for new persons to be on. I have another guy
Mhm.
besides Kevin, actually, from Australia, that we can try. That I can
Oz
try.
for sure. My friend Oz would be great.
Your friend Oz, absolutely, absolutely, and any other people that you liked on your show
I was thinking
back in the day.
Stevie, the redneck economics gal. Remember
Yeah.
her?
No.
I have her contact information. I mean,
Okay.
I can reach out to anyone I think of, and I will definitely do that. So tell me how you found out.
Yeah,
Okay, how'd you
I have
find
an
out?
answer. I saw it. Oswald, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. That's an insider kind of deep state joke.
I love it. That's awesome.
It's not a threat. It's not a threat. It's just a funny thing to say. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some great conversations, Oswald. So you should go back and listen to the replay when Kat was on earlier. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Even though we
Absolutely,
talk
and
about dark topics, it was
it was
awesome.
more than one person. Also, yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine if it's
Uh,
just me and you too. I mean, we can start the show. It does. Everybody doesn't have to be here. We can start the show if other people jump in. Great, it's fine.
yeah,
I have to do that all the time.
but
Yeah,
I'm used
but
to having a intelligence agents do that kind of thing. Open the show and
if
close
you
the
want me to
show.
open the show sometimes, I will gladly open the show for you. Okay, I
Yeah,
did it
totally,
a lot.
totally.
If you need me to
Uh,
do that, I will do that, and I'll as long as
can
there's a
one
chat. If there's someone in the chat, I it helps. So
can
Oswald,
one
bring your friends to the chat
can
so
one
we can
come
start
with
on time.
suggestions? Can I make wishes or suggestions?
Yes.
I wish that you would one day, one show in the near future, put on something very beautiful and some makeup and turn on your video for the opening 5 minutes. That I'm sure we good would
Okay.
go through the roof on the YouTube algorithms if you did that.
Well, I don't know about that, but I will do that for you one show. Um, but it takes a lot
Well,
of
no,
effort after I fed all the animals and
maybe
everything.
that's a dumb idea if you want to be some sort of semi undercover. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Mm, I think we're pretty removed. I don't think anyone's gonna find me, especially since I don't use my real name and I'm not using my old ID on YouTube, which the government knows about. I can just say that, like the government knows about my old thing. That's why I kind of got to be a little down low, a little bit, and not post things on
Absolutely.
Facebook
No, but
and stuff.
you could open it just doing the opening words and stuff, and then
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
that would
opposing
actually
it.
be a good idea because then I can spend my first 5 minutes listening to the stream on YouTube, checking that the audio is working, that the stream is streaming, and
Okay,
all of that kind of technical
all
stuff.
right, we'll do
So
that next
I would
time.
love,
Next
yeah, I
week,
would
I'll
love
try
for
to
you
get
to
done
do
with
that.
my chores early.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll try really
So
hard to get my
and
chores.
then
I had a busy day today, so it was really hard to get my
And
chores
then
done on time.
if you are late from back from your goats and your chickens, then I will just stream emptiness and silence for like
I don't want you
80
to do
minutes.
that because no, because that's when people want you to be there when you say you're going to be there. Like that's important. You have to do it,
Yeah, I said
and
that's why I
I'm gonna
said
help
if
you.
that's why I said if you are late, then your introduction will come after 18 minutes of perfect black silence. You know,
I can't guarantee everything goes right on the farm. Okay, can't. But I will do everything in my power. Okay,
and
everything in
with
my
that,
power.
we are at the 2 hour mark, and I'm going to close the.
Recruited. I love that. Sorry, but the So I had to have the last comment on Oswald's last comment.
I'm
It's
going
not
to
getting
close
a theme.
the
It's getting
stream.
grouped.
So goodbye and see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Thanks, Jess. Bye, Oswald.
And then we can actually talk. Ah, end stream
Okay.
didn't work.
Ah,
That's because I have to log in to Rumble. You know, they do this sometimes. That if you stream for a long time, your
Mhm.
login expires, and then you can't even stop your stream.
Oh, oh no.
Crazy.
It's
But
just
I'm
on Rumble.
no, that everything runs from Rumble and to Rumble and YouTube. So Rumble is sort of the brain.
We'll work out the kinks. It takes a minute
Central.
to work out all the kinks. It just does.
Well, we can mute anyway, and then I can just stop it. Okay, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.